Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm here with Paul Barbour, who is an executive and team coach and learning and development facilitator. I've been lucky enough to experience training sessions with Paul and I can't recommend him enough. You come away with a great understanding of how to bring the best of yourself to work. So today we're going to look at how a sales manager can motivate his team, because last week we spoke to David Adams of Kraft Heinz. He's the country manager, and he looked at how the role of the sales manager and the sales rep is going to change. So today we'll look at how we can motivate that team and what you need to do. Before we do that, Paul, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, thank you, Emer. First of all, thank you for your kind words. You're very, very kind. And probably, if I think of myself, there's probably three main things I think of. One is my upbringing. So I was brought up in County Armagh in Northern Ireland, only about 10 miles from the border. So my granny actually lives in a house which is half in the north and half in the south. So I always feel like I'm from north and south. And really, really good upbringing despite the background of the troubles and everything else, but really, really loving upbringing. And the second thing, probably a big part of my life, is probably family and work. And that was I have 3 young kids married to Rhonda and 3 teenage daughters who I learned more about from life than anybody else. Yeah. And then also I spent 20 years in corporate life with Kerry Group, most of that based in Dublin and sometimes in the north and sometimes both. And fantastic career in Kerry for 20 years and looked after commercial teams across the island of Ireland and other geographies. And the third big part of my life, I would say, is like post-Kerry. And this whole last probably 5 years or so, I've done a master's in coaching and behavioral change. And now I work with organizations in terms of trying to improve their performance, and both at an individual level and also at a team level. So yeah, so it's quite a varied life, and been fantastic, and I cannot complain.
Oh, that's good. That's good. And you be like myself now, you have a natural curiosity about people, Paul. And like lockdown has been a strange time for everybody in so many different ways. What have you learned about yourself in the last few months?
Yeah, it's a great question, Emer. Thank you. So, I spend my time helping people learn about themselves. So for me, when I learn about myself, I take it quite seriously. And what happened during lockdown, at the very start, my wife got quite sick for literally about 5-6 weeks. And I was, it was pretty severe. She had breathing difficulties, was locked in a room, didn't have to go to hospital, thankfully. But it was the whole COVID-19 thing. We're one of the few people in this area that people actually know that have had it in our house. And what happened was, really interesting was, for me, what I learned most was, first of all, I've never had to care for somebody that was sick before. Right. And that just absolutely knocked me for 6. And what people do out there who care for people full time, I just I can see how it happens out of love. And I also now see how difficult that is. And it becomes everything. And the second thing was asking for help. I have people saying, what do you need groceries wise? What do you need? What can I get you? And at the start, I found that quite difficult, and just learning, to have the humility to say, you know what, I actually need help. And once that started to come, it was just quite emotional. I did ask for a lot of chocolate, mind you, so probably not good for that, but it had to be done. But yeah,
seize the opportunity.
Yeah, those are the 2 things. And actually, it's brought our family closer together. My teenage daughters learned things that I never knew they could do, and we cooked things we never knew we could cook. And no, it's so. I'm not saying it's been a positive experience. It's been a difficult experience, but we've taken a lot of good things out of it. And thankfully, my wife is really well right now, which is fantastic. Which we're delighted about.
It's mad. It's been a strange year, and there's a lot of jokes around. I'm not counting my birthday this year. This year doesn't count, but I do think we've all learned a lot about ourselves and other people. And I think we have to take that into consideration now in the work environment and how we deal with things. So like with so many returning back to work and going into the new normal, what do you think, Paul, now if you look at a sales manager and their role, how can they motivate their team we still have to drive performance. It's a challenging year, but we still have to drive performance. But at the same time, we have to protect their well-being.
Yeah, I think it's a great way that you need to look at both those things, that balance between performance and well-being. And I think there's a way of doing it. And the last number of years, I've been studying the psychology of how the human mind works. And I just absolutely fascinated. If I buy any more books, I think my wife might kill me. But I just love this. How does the human mind work? And one of the things I've been looking into is this thing of human needs. What are our deeper needs as human beings? And this is all linked back into your question about motivation. And if you can tap into the deeper human needs that people have and satisfy those, you can satisfy their motivational needs and their well-being needs at the same time. So it can be, so some of those human needs are things, for example, one of them is relatedness. Okay, relatedness. And when we're born, our mother holds us, or our loved one holds us, and we need that intimacy. And as we get older, that intimacy turns into a need for recognition and appreciation and connection with other people. We cannot get away from that as human beings. And it doesn't matter where your sales team are, who they are, what age they are, they need appreciated, they need to feel connected, they need to feel that they need to feel cared for. If that's not there, you're not going to get the most out of people. And the second big human need, there's guys called Dacky and Rand who come up with this amazing research. The second piece, so relationships is one piece. Autonomy is another piece of their research, and they talk about giving people choice. So human beings are born with this innate need to be able to create and to make decisions. And what that means if you take from a sales team point of view, is that you need to ask people what they think. What are your thoughts? Not tell people. I always say, if I give you a hot plate and say, don't touch, what would you do? And there's a very good chance you'll touch that, or don't touch that wet paint in that door. And we're human beings, we're just rebellious animals. We like to do what we want to do. And yet we think of management leadership of telling people. It's not about telling people, it's about asking, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should shape this? And I think for example, I don't know, doing journey plans, and you use a computer program to help do that. I'd always go along, yes, use a computer program to help do that, but get the people involved as well. What do you think? How can we improve these? And there's brilliant research that shows that even if you get people involved in the slightest little bit, performance improves. So we know this stuff from all the research, and yet we have a lot of leaders out there still who are in the tell mode, and people don't need that. They need to be asked what they think. And the third big human need that I love reading about is this thing of competence. It's all about growth. And human beings at their very, very heart want to improve, want to get better, and want to get just be a fuller version of themselves. So this is not about just finding opportunities for promotion, because a lot of times that can be quite difficult in organizations. But where can you get opportunities to help your people learn and grow? And so those three things, like, these are deeper human needs. The need to connect with people, the need to be able to have choice, be able to make our own decisions, and the need to be able to actually grow and learn. Like, they're sometimes I talk about them, it sounds so basic, you shouldn't really have to share these things. But if we can tap into these things, you're going to see a much greater performance from people. It just happens, and all the research backs it up. And all my experience in leading teams, it totally makes sense as well.
But how will a sales manager tap into that, though?
Well, the best way to look at it, there's a really cool piece of research I get quite excited about, and it looks at what motivates people at work. So those things are human needs; those are the deeper parts. But what motivates people at work? And the number one thing that motivates people at work is a thing called play. Okay, a thing called play. And what that effectively means is that humans like to enjoy what they do. And in the research, this is talked about the actual role design itself. So the number one thing you can do to motivate a member of staff is to actually help them enjoy their role. It might sound very basic. And what that means for me is, like, you go along to your team and you say, okay, what's getting in the way of you enjoying this role? How can we improve this role? What can we do differently? How can we make it, I heard a sales manager years ago speaking, and he said, he talks about this, about removing the shoes from his people's feet. Okay, what are the stones? Not the shoes, sorry, that'd be the wrong thing, wouldn't it? Removing the stones from his people's shoes. That was it. Yeah. Removing the stones. What are the stones? What's he talking about? Removing the stones. Yeah, removing the stones from people's shoes. This idea that what are the things that are, imagine, the thing that, we're not working well with a finance department. That process is not working well. The technology problems here. So the more you can work with people to try and remove those obstacles and make the jobs enjoyable as possible, which is interacting with customers and developing sales. The second thing, and these are called intrinsic motivators, the need for play or the need for the role to be enjoyed. The second thing is this thing about the purpose and the values around the job. And the more somebody feels attached to the purpose and the values of the organization, the better. So think of that there, for example, when you think about developing a purpose for a sales team, you might say, well, actually they're selling products, say, in the shop to get more stock on the shelves. Well, they're not. Take somebody, for example, going in and they're working with super value stores or a franchise retailer, just for example, their purpose, their deeper purpose is to help that store owner support that local community and families. When you think of work at that deeper level, what you're really about is, like, there's lovely research that shows that hospital cleaners, who believe that their work is actually about saving lives. It's not just cleaning, it's about cleaning lives, perform better, are more motivated, and are happier in their work and have better well-being. So the more you can connect at a deeper level, what are we really trying to do here? We're not just selling stuff, we're actually helping create livelihoods, we're trying to help support communities. The more you tap into that, the better. And the third big, is sort of what I call these internal motivators in the research, is this area called potential. It links back what I said earlier on about growth. People need to grow and to develop. And again, you have to keep on asking the sales manager, asking the question, what else can I do to support your development? How do you need to learn? And it's not just about formal training, that's really important, but spending one-to-one time, especially in the current this current time, we went more virtual. I see a lot of great leaders who are like checking in more regularly with their team, doing Zoom calls, Microsoft Teams calls, breakout rooms. Just the more we can check in and talk to people and make sure they're okay, but keep asking that question, what can I do to support your growth and development? What can I do to help you learn? And those are deeper, what they're called intrinsic motivators, this idea of play, joyfulness, enjoying the role, the actual being linked to the purpose and values of the organization. The deeper that is, the better. And this idea of growth or career development. And these are intrinsic motivators. After that, the fourth one is what they call community, as the next sort of motivation. And that's about how do you bring people together? How do you create a team environment or a team cohesion, or and again, it's very simple. You ask the team, what more can we do together? What is the work we can do together that we can't do apart? A lot of times you got, say, for example, sales reps out in the country doing things individually, but there are things that they can develop together, and it's trying to get them to work together on certain things and to support each other. And then after that, it goes into things like the research goes down. The first one is role design. Second one is basically this idea of purpose, values. Third one is this career growth. Fourth one is community. And then it goes into things like workforce planning and resourcing. And that means, just having the job organized, so how can you better structure and organize a job? And this is different from the first one. It's more about play and enjoyment, but how can you better structure the work? And then it goes into leadership. And a great question to ask yourself, how can I be a better leader? Ask your team, how can I be a better leader? What am I doing well? What can I do better? And the last one is compensation. And this is not all in order. So compensation comes at and I'm not saying it's not important. It has absolutely, it's very important, but these are not the things that motivate. The things that motivate people is actually the job itself, the values, the purpose of the job, be able to grow and develop, being part of a community, being well led. These are the things, and the more you can do these things, the better. I hope that sort of, I get quite excited and animated when I speak about this, because I see it working. I see it working all the time when I work with individuals and teams.
I like that one, the example about the hospital cleaner, and obviously it's highlighted now, but people look at certain roles and they might rate them at level of importance, but just because it might be a low paying job, it doesn't mean it's not as important as the guy running the hospital. To take pride in your work, it makes so much difference, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I love the story. You might know the one about JFK. Apparently, legend goes, he goes to where does he go? He's going to NASA, and there's a janitor who's cleaning the floor, and he's up to the janitor and he says, what do you do around here? And the janitor says, I'm helping put a man on the moon.
Oh.
I just think that's just breathtaking. So that he's in that deeper purpose. The other story I heard, it was apparently, I don't know this factually, but I think, and I'm not going to say the business in case I'm wrong, okay, but it was one of the top CEOs of one of the top businesses, actually a big massive food conglomerate. I'll not say the name in case I'm wrong in the name. And Nelson Mandela years ago was visiting this particular individual at their house, and their house was a big mansion with massive big gardens. And Nelson Mandela was driving up the laneway of this particular house, and apparently there was two gardeners who were out tending the garden, and he got the chauffeur to stop the car, got out, and he said to the two individuals, is this your work? Did you create these gardens? And the individual said, yes, this is our work. He said, this has made my day. This is just amazing. And apparently the CEO was standing watching, one of the top business leaders in the world was watching Nelson Mandela have this conversation with the gardeners. And he said that he learned more about leadership that day than he ever could have learned. Because you think the things I'm talking about, relationships, about growth and development, about helping people develop to their full potential, how must those gardeners have felt that day? They felt important, they felt cared for, they were listened to, and their work was appreciated. And this is the stuff, if we can tap into this stuff, people will do remarkable things. People will do absolutely remarkable things, and their well-being will be better. If you go against these things and you're telling people what to do, you're not showing appreciation, you're not caring for them, you're not giving them opportunities to learn. These things do impact your well-being, and they will.
Yeah, and I think like we're all different, and some people will want to progress through their career, but some people will be quite happy doing the job that they're doing, but they want to do it well and they want to take pride in what they do as well, but they're happy to do that at that level for the next 10, 15 years. The sales managers, I clap my hands to them for the last few months. It's been a difficult and challenging time for them, because they've been put to the test as well, and how they keep the team motivated. And we all have underlying motivators. So it's very challenging for a sales manager. Some who probably, and they all lead very differently. Some just tell you what to do, but some do get the underlying motivators. Yeah. What's your advice for the ones that probably just lead by telling? How can they change their ways, Paul?
There's a bit of, I love the research, and a bit of research. One team had a choice on the timing device that they used to do the production task, and the other team were just told, just do it, just do the work, just do what you're told. And the team that are given the actual involvement in choosing a timing device, that's simple. Like, they're not creating the work, they're not creating the work plan, just had an input in the actual selection of the timing device, always perform better on the test. And there's loads of research that shows us here. So research shows that if people are asked rather than told, they will perform better. And so maybe by saying that, I'm telling that, but one of the things that, in terms of getting people to drop into people's minds, is actually telling stories. It's telling stories, and that there is research, but it's also a story. And I think just working with people one-to-one, mentoring, coaching, I think that I see big breakthroughs in people who have that sort of need to tell. And what I would do, I work with people, is basically say, let's experiment with this. Let's experiment. Let's just try and go along and ask your team what they think. And they come back generally and go like, wow, that was like, people were saying this is the best meeting ever and stuff like this. And it seems so simple. For a lot of people, it's just control. They don't want to let go of control. They want to do a good job. And, but sometimes it's about accepting 99%, but understanding that the motivation from the people will get you much better results. So, I would say people try it, and it'll be uncomfortable trying it. It will feel absolutely strange and weird letting go of control. But I love the saying, being comfortable with the discomfort, and just know, number one, it works. It's been proven over the years and all the research. And try it and see what happens, and you will start and get people to hold you to account. Say to your team, listen, I know I'm a little bit controlling. I know I'm a bit of a control freak, and I'm going to try this here. And this is what I'm going to try to do differently. Here's the reason why. I think it'll benefit us all. And I want you to hold me to account. I want you to say, am I doing well? Am I not? And to, because it doesn't matter who you are. You need appreciation. You need people to say, well done on that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I think teams will appreciate that. They really will.
Yeah, it's a big step. And I know when interviewing people and they're talking about their current role and their motives for moving on to a new role. I love when people are talking about their current manager and what they've done for them, what they've learned from them, and they'd be sorry to move on from them. But obviously people are in your life for a time and a place, for a reason. Yeah, so it's great to have good mentors throughout your career. It's very important, especially to get your sales team to perform.
Absolutely. I always like, I think of all the leaders I used to work for over 20 years when I worked in Kerry Group, and I used to always look at them and go, for each leader, what are the bits that I really love about this person? What are the bits that I want to learn from, and what are the bits that I want to avoid? And it just, we've got plenty of examples. We know, human beings know innately, in a deeper sense of who they are, what's good leadership and what's not. And if we look around this week, so you can get textbooks and research. All these things are fine, but we know this stuff. Sometimes we're just a little bit blinded from it by all the busyness and everything else.
Yeah, I think this time has been good. We've all had time to reflect, and it's reminded us what's important. We've a better appreciation of those around us, and that includes in the workplace as well, not just your family. And it's important to pull together as a team and look out for each other going forward. Like, I know we're more aware, and you've got this new appreciation for chocolate.
Yeah, so I'm trying to cut back on.
Yeah, you want to watch that?
I tell you a funny story. Actually, I got chocolate sent. I've cut out chocolate for 2 weeks now and lost some weight. And I got really expensive chocolate sent to me in the post as a thank you from somebody. And my kids got it yesterday, and they thought it was a thank you from Amazon, because it said in the. But it was, and my kids ate this really expensive chocolate yesterday because they thought, number one, I cut back, which I have, and number two, they thought Amazon were saying thank you for all the business that they've given them. So yeah, so I was a little bit disappointed.
Well, I won't produce. I bought you a Toblerone because one of the first times we met, you'd never had a Toblerone. I couldn't believe it, and I'd actually bought you a Toblerone. I'm not sending it now.
Just give me a warning so I can check the post before the kids.
Exactly, yeah. Paul, really appreciate all your tips. They're really, really, as I said, I've been on these courses. I've come away learning stuff and about me, about how to do my job. Where can people find you if they need to reach out to you?
Probably the best place is LinkedIn. So it's Paul J. Barbour, and it's Barbour. The J is really important. If you don't, and some other Paul Barbour comes up, I don't know what he does, but Paul J. Barbour on LinkedIn, and that's and it says all the stuff that I do and people that I work along with, and it's all in there. Like, so probably the best place, and it's the most likely place that I respond. It doesn't get lost in a crowd of emails. So
brilliant.
Yeah, but listen, anybody wants to reach out, send me a message, but anything, I'm free to speak. So
brilliant. Thanks a million, Paul. Really appreciate your time.